Good morning, students. Today we shall revise first chapter of the history, that is when, where, and how. But before going to that, it is very obvious for us to know what is history. If we will talk simply, then we can say that history is the events that happened in the past. Yes. Events that happened in past. So this is a general introduction of the history. Anything which happened in the past time, in 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 100 years, 1000 years, that all events are comprised in the history. Now, as we are knowing, the history of the earth, or we can say, yes, the history of the earth is from the millions of years before. Why? Because we are knowing that earth came into existence after millions of the years, and from that time till today, a lot of events happened in the different parts of the globe. That all events are the events of the history. Now, if we will talk about today's world, don't say talk. If we compare today's world, means today's modern world, to the ancient one, yes, modern world, we can say that modern world has shrinked, means it has become a very small place. Why? Because of the globalization. But because of the globalization, modern world has become a very small place where ideas, thoughts, and informations are reaching from one part of the world to the another part of the world within the minutes. Yes, nowadays internet is there, mobile phones are there, and other devices of the communication are there, because of which events are reaching from one part of the globe to the another part of globe within seconds only. But in the olden time, the world which we are knowing today, that was a vast place. Why it was a vast place? Because at that time such means of the communications were not available, and as a result of that, if any events was happening in one part of the world, to reach it to the another part, it was taking 100 years, 200 years, or more than that also. And how that ideas, thoughts, and events were reaching to that part from one part? By the traders, by the artisans, by the pilgrims, by the scholars and other travelers who were moving from one part to the another part. So if we can say, the history of the world is a very vast topic. Yes, because we can't say that what happened yesterday, that is history only. History is being started from the approximately this 4.5 billion years ago. Why? Because why 4.5 billion years ago? Because the origin of the earth took place, it is believed that origin of the earth took place before 4.5 billion years ago. That's why. Now, as we are seeing, the term of the history is a very lengthy. So, to understand the events of the history in many countries of the world, history is periodized, or we can say the events of the history are being divided. Same thing happened in our country, India also. As in the other parts of the world, it is divided into the three main parts. Same in the India. In the other parts of the world, also ancient history, medieval history, and modern, or we can also say these periods: ancient period, medieval period, and modern period. About the ancient period, you have discussed in class 6. Medieval, 7th class. And in this class 8, we shall discuss about the modern period, class 8. So if we will compare ancient and medieval, then the modern, we can say that comparison to these both, for the modern period, we have more information or more means by which we can know the events of the modern history. So, for knowing the periods of the modern history or for knowing more about the modern history, we have divided its sources. For knowing about the modern history, two main sources are there. Yes, these sources of modern history. Main are two. One is the literary source and another is the other sources. Literary is further subdivided into the two: official records and second one is the indigenous record. One more thing which I forgot to tell you all, it is believed that modern period started in India after the death of the Aurangzeb. Yes, Aurangzeb. It is believed that Aurangzeb was the last powerful ruler of the Mughals. So, when Aurangzeb died in the 1707, after that the events of the India is referred to the modern history. Now, we shall discuss the sources of the history. First one, literary sources. Literary sources means, very simple, written records. Now, in the written record, two types of records are there. One is official record. Why official record, or what were the official records? We are knowing that at that time our country India was the colony of the Britishers. So for that time we have plenty of sources. See one thing. Britishers were very good in the administration. Yes. And this was the main cause that they were capable enough to rule our country India for such a long tenure or for such a long years. It was believed by the Britishers that for the working of the different things, different institutions are required, and that institutions should be administered by the individuals. And what was being done, what was being made, that should be on the paper. That's why they give more importance to the official records. We have a plenty of the sources related to the political system, social system, revenue system, demographic pattern, census, populations, density of the population, etc., etc. That all things come under the category of the official records. And there were the indigenous records. These indigenous records were the writing of Indian origin people. Writing of Indians, we can say. Now, why we are giving little bit importance to the indigenous records? There is a reason behind that. Because one thing is clear: if anyone will say to me that Mr. Asutosh, you write down the history of your tenure, or you write down the history of your life, what you did, where you have failed, what you got success, etc., etc. Then one thing can be that I can write the wrong. In every I can say I got this, I got that, etc., etc. So same thing can happen in case of the official records also, because maybe to glorify them, Britishers have twisted the events. That's why, for knowing more about this modern period, we also dependent on the indigenous literary sources because these were written by the Indians, and obviously Indian will write that thing only which were happening in the reality. So indigenous records, various written materials of the different individuals are there. Some which are important: Stri Purush Tulna, Abhijan Sakuntalam, Kalidas, which was written by the Kalidas. Besides that, we can say that Rabindranath Tagore, who was a poet and a novelist, he also wrote a lot of things. So that all come in the category of the indigenous records. Now, we will discuss about the other sources. What are the other sources? Other sources includes the monuments, buildings, forts, palaces, etc. Because these buildings were constructed during that time only, so it records the events which happened at that time. So these were the other sources. Now we shall discuss the last topic of this chapter, that is the conclusion. Conclusion. Why it is important for us to study this topic? Reason is very simple. What things happened in the past, for them we have not any live witness. Is it? Is there any individual who can say that I was present to that place when this happened? Yes, we can say that any individual can say that this event occurred at my time. I saw that. But anyone should not be there who can say that it was I and I only who have seen all the events which are compiled for the modern period, which are compiled for the medieval period, or which are compiled for the ancient period. So, while studying the events of the history, one should be very careful because, as I have already told, what were written, that was the view of any individual by himself, and we can't say that the view of one individual can be same what is the view of the another individual. So, while studying the events of the history, we should be very careful. We should observe the events, and accordingly we should make our opinion. We should not dependent on the records of any individual. We can't say that that is 100% truth. So, my dear students, this was the end of the chapter. Bye bye.